Here we go. Hey, open-ended questions, right? Advanced open-ended questions. A lot of people need help, and a lot of people have received the advice of, hey, ask open-ended questions. I tell you to do it all the time in my videos, but mine are intelligent, thoughtful, loving, sales, advancing, right, questions that get you to the next level. And what nobody tells you is which open-ended questions actually move the conversation forward. Like, they'll tell you, hey, you need to ask open-ended questions, but they don't actually give you the open-ended questions to ask. So what I'm going to do is give those to you, right? And a lot of the questions you're already asking, they're good, they're thoughtful, but here's the thing. They're collecting information. I need you to ask questions that create awareness. And there's a massive difference there. Your job isn't to interview prospects. Your job is to help them discover things they haven't fully articulated themselves. When that happens, resistance drops, right? Buying becomes their idea. So today I'm going to teach you the questions that separate average salespeople from professionals who consistently close high-value opportunities. So let's drop down. Principle number 1, okay, questions should create thinking. Questions should create thinking, right? And here, let me show you how this works. So, how long have you been in business? About 8 years. Well, don't stop there. A lot of you stop there and it's like, congratulations, you learned a fact. Well, nothing changed. I need you to keep going a little bit. Now, what you would add to that is, looking back over those 8 years, what decisions do you think created the biggest difference in where the business is today? Well, now they're thinking, and reflection creates emotion. Emotion creates engagement. Engagement creates trust. The best discovery isn't about collecting facts. It's about creating thought, right? Now, let's drop down to principle number 2. Hey, ask for meaning, not events, right? Most people describe what happened. Very, 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 very few explain what it actually meant, right? Meaning reveals motivation. So instead of asking, hey, what happened? Tell me what happened here. Instead, replace it with, what did that experience teach you? How did that change the way you approach things today? What did you realize afterward that you wish you had known earlier? What surprised you the most? Those answers reveal identity, and identity drives buying behavior, right? I said it backwards, but you know what I'm saying. Now, principle number 3, write this down. Explore decision making. Okay, explore decision making. They don't buy because of products, right? They buy because of how they make decisions. So you need to ask questions like, John, when you make investments like this, what usually gives you confidence that it's the right move, right? So then they're going to actually give you the information so you can take them down. And then here's another one. What tends to slow decisions down? So when you get in these deals, what tends to slow decisions down, right? How do you typically evaluate opportunities like this? When you've made your best business decisions, what did they have in common? Talk to me about that. So what's going on here is you're learning their buying process, not just their situation, right? So you're going to learn, hey, how does this person's brain make decisions, okay? Let's drop down to principle number 4. We got to find friction, okay? Growth always has friction. Your job is just to find it. I just need to ask good questions, right? Let me give you some to ask. So, where does progress seem to slow down? Write that down. Where does progress seem to slow down? What's consistently harder than it should be? If you could eliminate one reoccurring frustration tomorrow, what would it be? Where do you feel you're losing the most momentum? People don't buy comfort, they buy relief. These will get them to talk, right? These will get them to talk. Principle number 5, okay? Measure opportunity cost. Most prospects only think about today's cost, right? It doesn't matter about what it costs. It matters, am I going to make my money back and then eventually free? And can it solve my current pain, okay? So you need to help them consider tomorrow's cost. So ask these questions. If nothing changes over the next 12 months, what does that likely cost you? If nothing changes over the next 12 months, John, what does that likely cost you? Hey, what's the opportunity you're afraid of missing? What's the long-term impact of staying where you are? How much longer are you comfortable operating this way? Just ask them the questions, right? This shifts the conversation from price to consequences. Let's go to principle number 6. Future pace the prospect. Future pace. Future pacing is such a beautiful thing. Selling the transformation, putting them in the future. The brain makes decisions by imagining future outcomes. So just help them do that. Watch this. Let me show you how to do it. Hey, John, let's imagine we're having this conversation a year from now and everything worked out exactly the way you wanted. What's the difference? What's different? Talk to me about that. What would success actually look like? What becomes possible after solving this? Who benefits besides you? People become emotionally attached to futures they vividly imagine. Use the language, use the words. Hey, visualize this. Imagine 60, 90 days from now, this is your situation. Talk to me about that. Tell me how exciting it is now that we have this solved. How are you going to sleep at night? Those kinds of things. What are you going to do with this extra money you generate from the business? All of those kinds of things matter. All right. Let's drop down to principle number 7. Expose hidden constraints. Okay, expose hidden constraints. The biggest obstacles are rarely visible. What do I mean by that? Well, we have to get them to look. Hidden constraints often become the real sale. So we just got to drum them up and get them to talk a little bit. What's making this more difficult than it appears from the outside? Help me understand. What's the part people usually don't understand? Okay, where do you feel most stuck? What's consuming the most mental energy right now? Let's drop down to principle number 8. Challenge assumptions. Okay, elite salespeople respectfully test beliefs. Just ask, what makes you believe that's the best approach? What assumptions are you operating from today? If you had to challenge your current strategy, where would you start? Is there another way to look at this? See, you're not arguing, you're expanding perspective, but a lot of you won't ever even ask or say these kinds of things. But yes, it's true. Unless you have a good connection with someone, which is done within the first couple minutes, then some of these are you're going to struggle with. Let's go to principle number 9. Okay, reveal priorities. Everything can't be equally important. Okay, so let me help you figure out what is and what's not important. So John, if you can only solve one issue this quarter, which one creates the biggest ripple effect? What deserves your attention before anything else? Where does solving one problem solve several others? Priority creates urgency, okay? Now let's go to principle number 10. At some point you have to ask questions that create ownership. Never tell prospects what they should do. Make them tell themselves, okay? Hey John, so what do you think needs to happen next? What would moving forward accomplish? Talk to me about that. What would you regret if you waited? What's keeping this from becoming a priority today? So when they answer, they're actually selling themselves. Notice something. None of these questions ask, what keeps you up at night? What's your pain? What are your goals? Those questions are overused. Prospects have heard them hundreds and hundreds of times. These questions need to feel conversational. They need to sound insightful, like you're just trying to gain understanding, right? They create insight instead of sounding like a script. People don't remember good questions because they're clever. They remember them because they force them to think differently. That's the difference, right? So let me give you a nice 5-layer discovery framework here. Because you made it to the end of the video, let me give you some golden nuggets, all right? Every elite discovery conversation should move through 5 levels, okay? Facts, that's layer 1, which is facts. You need to understand the environment, okay? Layer 2, which is meaning. Understand what those facts represent. All right, layer 3, which is emotion. Understand how the situation affects them personally. Layer 4, consequences. Understand what happens if nothing changes. Layer 5, identity. Okay, look. Understand the kind of person or organization that they need to become or want to become. Most salespeople, most of you stop at layer 1. Don't stop until you understand the identity. All right, that's where conviction lives. So look, your questions determine the quality of your sales conversations. Better conversations create better relationships create better decisions, and better decisions create more closed business. So hopefully this video was helpful. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll always give you more questions to help you go out there and win at the highest level. Like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.